For Journal 17, Part 1, I chose for where we are in time and place, celebrate central idea. People throughout the world have celebrations. I chose Barefoot Book of Earth Tales because it shows different cultures and different ideas of how stories are passed down for children to understand and appreciate other lifestyles and cultures. Um, for How the World Works, I chose Push and Pull, the central idea forces of nature work um, or affect our world. And I chose the Wild Ideas, Let Nature Inspire Your Thinking, because it shows us different ways that we can learn from animals and animals can learn from us to solve problems. And for the last one, Sharing the Planet, I chose Fur, Feathers, and Scales. Central idea, animals are a part of the living world, and I chose Flashlight because it shows us different animals in their habitats that children may not be used to seeing at night and as nocturnal animals, and I wanted them to be able to increase their vocabulary and encourage them to understand what happens while they're sleeping. For Part 2, I chose Sharing the Planet, Fur, Feathers, or Scales, the central idea, animals are a part of the living world, and I recommend it for pre-K through kindergarten. My first book that I chose was the poetry collection, and I chose 2 poems in it. One is about a raccoon, and the other one was called Firefly, which is staged at night, and I was thinking ahead of the other books that I was going to use that I wanted to tie these to. So the second book that I chose was Flashlight, and by asking different questions about the poem book, what do they notice, compare and contrast about the 2 poems. I wanted them to be thinking about the different animals. One was shown during the day and one was shown during the night. Even though raccoons are usually nocturnal animals, they do come out during the day, and children may have seen them. So when we get into Flashlight, I wanted them to be able to look through the pages of Flashlight and see that there are raccoons. There are different animals that they may not know come out at night, or that they may have never even seen before, like a fox. They may know what they are, but they don't, they may think that they don't live around here. So I wanted them to be able to explore each page visually without the text, because since this is a picture book, I think it's really good to engage them, just to ask them a lot of questions about the actual pages. Where is he exploring? What are the animals doing? Are they similar to the animals that we talked about in the poem? What other animals do you think you might see at night? And I would encourage them to use some props like flashlights to retell the story in their own words, or to create poems about what they see, and allow children to expand their abilities to compare and contrast, obviously, the animals, maybe day animals to night animals, and then also clearly express their thoughts and feelings on both pieces of work. For my third book, I chose Nature Recycles, How About You? And by reading this, I wanted to encourage the children to describe the nature around them and offer ways that they could help maybe the animals in the other books that we saw learn to recycle and reuse things. We think that they might do what we can do around us, maybe at school or at our house, and to be able to describe the nature around them, and relate the books to real life situations, comparing and creating a web of animals that are shown in each book, and have the children come up with new ideas of how they can help, or the animals could help. And then my last book that I chose was Wild Ideas, Let Nature Inspire Your Thinking, and I wanted the children to notice that we've saw some of the same animals, and recall how animals were solving problems about recycling, and what they were doing, solving problems at night. That's why they come out at night, to keep themselves protected, or give them new ideas about why the animals are doing what they're doing. And I want them to be able to tell me, tell from the pictures what the story is about. And on the page it says, squirrels learn to cross roads, by watching humans, what can we learn from squirrels? I'd like them to be able to answer, use different ideas that they've learned about what we can learn from squirrels, or what we can learn from watching the mice at night, or the fireflies or owls. And then what type of problems do we face, and how we can learn how to solve our problems from the animals. And by connecting all 4 selections, I'd like the children to draw conclusions about how animals live in nature, and draw conclusions about how we can live and interact with animals in nature, and be able to explore and learn about the natural world around them. And the thing that I've learned most from doing these activities is how to really group books so that I can get the most out of them. I can really get the children to think outside the box, to get those concepts more concrete in their minds, and just to look at reading differently, not just sitting down and reading a book or getting a bunch of books about sea animals. There's different ways to encourage different groupings of books. So by thinking myself more about what I want them to get before we read, what I want them to be thinking about while they're reading and after they're reading, and how I want to tie it all together, has really been the thing that I've learned most. So, thanks.